faith, family, and the future of our community. Welcome to Ashonda at Large. If you knew someone that wanted you to smoke crack cocaine, would you do it? I think many of y'all listening will right away say, no, you would not smoke crack cocaine. But some of y'all might. I don't know. I mean, life has a way of bringing your true nature out when you're under pressure. But I brought that point up because I'm going to do a it's not even a movie review. I'm going to give my opinion about some things that I'm seeing happen in the culture that I think speaks to the larger problem that we're facing within our community. And it's two words that we see often paired together that are very, very serious words, and they have serious implication. And those are the words called peer pressure. When we were in school, we used to have discussions about peer pressure and how it affects us. But even as adults, I think that we really fall into a heavy stronghold when it comes to peer pressure. We find ourselves wanting, like children, to fit in to what society is doing. 2020 used to air these little what would you do type of scenarios where there would be this group of people standing in the elevator in the opposite direction in which they were supposed to stand, facing the wall or whatever, and that one person would come on the elevator and see everyone standing in the wrong direction, and even though their better senses told them they need to stay right where they're positioned, they couldn't handle the pressure of seeing the majority going in the opposite direction, so they would conform their bodies into the same mold. Romans chapter 12 verse 2, the Most High Yah, he said, "Be not conformed after the pattern of this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." But I'm seeing that this is the very verse that's dealing with the issue that we're talking about today, which is the peer pressure to conform into what everyone else is doing. This very specifically, I'm going to address it concerning the movie industry. There were two films that recently came out. One just came out in the spring, March 22nd, I believe they said was the opening date. And the other one, a few months before, was released on Netflix. And the one that was released on Netflix, I'm sure you know right away, it was called Bird Box. And this film, Bird Box, which was starring Sandra Bullock, dealt with a situation where people would see this invisible thing in the atmosphere that was so frightening it would literally cause them to commit suicide, to just kill themselves. And you had to walk through the world with blinders on your eyes so that you didn't see the very thing that the people around you were seeing that was causing them to commit suicide. Now, I did not see that movie. I saw a lot about the movie. I mean, how could you not? On social media, it was everywhere. It was like every time you scrolled like 2 or 3 channels down, you would see Bird Box reviews. So I was able to ascertain based off of some of the things that was being shown on social media pages I follow that this is what the movie was about. Another film that recently came out was a film called Us. Now, I understand that the director of this film, Us, was also the director of a movie called Get Out. And Get Out was a film about a black man dating a white woman who went into this very weird town and some very bad things happened. Obviously, you can tell I did not watch that either. But now this movie, Us, has come out. And I was going through my social media pages and I again came across some reviews on this movie, Us. So I started to dig a little bit and try to get a little bit of understanding of what is appealing to the culture about this film. And different people had totally different reactions. You had one lady who I thought probably hit the nail more on the head. She said it was about cloning. It was all about cloning. And other people were philosophizing, oh, well, this is what us means to me, and the little person trapped within and trying to be released. And, you had all that kind of stuff going on. But I brought this up because it delves right back into this whole situation with peer pressure. You see, those of us who follow the Most High Yah, we're called to a higher standard. We're called to turn away from the patterns of this world. When the world is pulling us in a certain direction, when our flesh is pulling at us in a certain direction, we're called to literally slay that thing that's being pulled. The reason why the Most High Yah does not want us to be watching and listening to the things that this world puts out is because He understands signals. He understands frequencies. He understands that the world that's spiritual is more real than the world that's physical. He understands how spiritual laws work. And many of us are still very ignorant to how these things take place. We have eye gates, and we have ear gates, and we have mouth and a mouth gate. And when we allow our eyes to behold certain things, then we become conduits of the energies or spirits behind those things. I don't know if y'all remember a movie years ago called Poltergeist. Poltergeist, in that movie, there was a scene where the little girl was sitting in front of a television when spirit-like creatures began to leave out of the television and come through it into her house. Whether or not you realize it, that's exactly what's happening. When you're in the movie theater or you're in the comfort of your living room and you're putting on these programs, even though you can't see the demons coming out of the screen, demons are coming out of that screen. They're coming into your house, yes, but more importantly, they're coming inside of you. Yahusha was speaking to the Syrophoenician woman whose daughter was plagued. And her plague was so perplexing to this woman that she knew that she needed some type of healing. But what she didn't realize is that she needed deliverance. And why I say this is because Yahusha said, deliverance is the children's bread. Deliverance. You see, we're oftentimes looking for healing to ailments that we have, when in actuality, it's not a sickness that is physical. It is a demonic stronghold that needs to be cast out. We need deliverance. See, our flesh is pulling towards the things of this world. We have three enemies. We have the flesh, the world, and Ha-Satan. Those are our three enemies. But oftentimes, the one that we battle with the most, whether we realize it or not, is our flesh. Our flesh is what is causing us to conform, to feel the obligation to be like everybody else, to watch this or watch that thing. And we tell ourselves that, oh, we're watching this thing here so that we can help other people to understand what was really going on in the symbology of this and that. And I know a lot of people do that. You know, they'll go and they'll dissect movies for all of the symbolism. But what we have to be careful about is that Ha-Satan has already accounted for our understanding of his symbolism. There are those of us who are watchers who have known for a very long time that the all-seeing eye or pyramid shape, that's of Ra, the sun Egyptian god, aka Satan. We've known that. When we see Jay-Z throwing his hand up, we already know that symbolism. When we see the Baphomet symbol, we already know that symbolism. So why are we going back and forth over and over again, trying to ascertain and understand all of these symbols? We're exposing ourselves to things that we do not need to expose ourselves to. But there's a pull in our flesh. It becomes a part of our entertainment. Hey, I'm just as guilty as everybody else. Because for a long time, I will watch quote unquote truther videos. And the truther videos were doing this very thing. See that pyramid shape right there? See that Baphomet? See that Masonic sign? See all of this? See all of that? I'm not telling us we need to be ignorant to these things. We definitely need to understand these things. But what is our motive? What is our motivation behind going to see Us or Get Out or Bird Box? What is our real core motivation in going to see these films? Is it so that we can expose it to other people, to warn them? Why? Like, why do I have to fall through the ditch to go and tell you there's a ditch on that other side? We need to think about these things. In the book of Job, he says that he made a covenant with his eyes, not to look upon a woman with lust. He did not want to even look at women, so he contracted with his eyes and said, if I even see the figure of a fine woman, I'm going to turn my eyes the other way. Man, when I saw that verse in scripture years ago, I did the same thing. Why? Because I have flesh, just like we all have flesh. And our flesh is the very thing that we are called to crucify. We're called to crucify our flesh daily. we're called to turn away from those things that our flesh desires the most. And I know this is a hard message and some people won't want to hear it, but the reality is that we need to hear messages like this. The reality is we need that annoying person in our life who's going to hold us accountable and say, hey, there's no excuse. We got to pull it together, because what we're doing is affecting the next generation. Hey, this is Ashonda coming to you for a brief minute to invite you to subscribe to my channel, as well as hit that notification bell so that you can get the latest content as soon as it comes out. Well, I hope you're enjoying today's discussion. Back to the podcast. We have to war against our flesh, and that's whether we consider ourselves in the Hamashiach or we don't know who the Hamashiach even is. We have to war against ourselves because there is an enemy that's warring against us. And the sad reality is that because we are in this flesh body, we actually on the inside, the real us is us against the world. We're boxed in. We're boxed in literally within ourselves. We have to train our bodies to submit unto the will of the Most High Yah. And I guarantee you that He has no desire to see His people sitting in the theater watching us. I guarantee it. I guarantee it with my whole heart. I guarantee it, because He says that we're not even supposed to be looking upon those things. He said that we should be like innocent to sin. We should be as children when it comes to sin, when it comes to those wicked things. What we're not understanding is that Satan has an agenda. It is not to entertain us. His agenda is to train and prepare those children of the world for what is to come for them. He is training them and preparing them for the hell and the lake of fire that will torment them day and night for eternity. Do you understand this? This is a war. Yes, this is not a child's play. The Most High Yah is preparing His people for what is to come for them. Righteousness, holiness, praise, worship, heavenly sounds, war against demonic foes. And Satan is preparing his army for death, destruction, carnage, everlasting torment. So you're being trained. You're being trained by the Most High Yah, or you're being trained by Satan. And you have to ask yourself this question: whose camp am I in? Because there is no fence. There is no, oh, I'm over here a little bit and I'm over there a little bit. Yahushua said, I wish that you would be hot or cold, but instead, because you are lukewarm, I will spit you out of my mouth. Really, the translation of that is He will regurgitate, or He will throw you up like bad food out of His mouth. And I think we need to be mindful of this, because we have truthers, or we even have Hebrew brothers and sisters who do movie reviews on these things, and they're looking for deeper esoteric symbolism and meaning in these films. And yes, we need to understand what's going on culturally, but the reality is that we don't need to stay there. Gideon was told by the Most High Yah to go to the enemy's camp because of his fear. Go there and hear what they have to say. And he did. He went there and he heard what they had to say. But then guess what? He got up and he left. We have record of the Hebrew spies who spied out the land as they were getting ready to enter into the promised land. And they met Rahab, and Rahab hid them. They had to spy out the land beforehand, before strategy took place, in order for that wall in Jericho to fall down and for them to be able to war against that kingdom. But they left. And I think what we have to understand is that the Most High Yah does put watchmen on the wall. He does call certain people to the task of being able to see what the enemy is doing. But we're not supposed to sit there with a bag of popcorn and a Coke in our hand, soaking it up like entertainment, talking about I'm looking for a deeper meaning. You already know the meaning. You already knew it when you watched the trailer. You already saw the demonic on it from the jump. Do we not understand that the word holly is from the tree that the witches used to cast a spell on those people who his charge came over? That's where we get Hollywood from. So we have to understand this stuff is all about spells. We have to be very careful about what we allow into our eye and our ear gates. Because if we're going to be influencers for the Most High Yah, that he's going to need our temple to be clean. He's going to need us to be holy. He said, let the righteous be righteous still, and let the wicked continue to be wicked. We have to examine our hearts. We have to examine our motives. We have to examine why it is that we're finding ourselves drawn to the things that the Most High Yah told us to get out of. Yeah, he was the original one to say, get out. You remember, get out of her, my people, lest you partake of her plagues. So when we see these things, they're a sign unto us. We see the title of these movies, Get Out. Yeah, get out of her, my people. Black man, Hebrew, get out. Get out of this world system. Get out of it. Us, US, come on now. Do we need to even say anymore? We got to realize that this present age is an age of darkness. And we are called to be the light of the world, a city set upon a hill. We're not called to hide our light. We're called to be brighter and brighter. And the only way we're going to get brighter and brighter is the same way Moses got brighter and brighter. That's to be in the presence of the Most High Yah. As much as we can be. Why sit there for 2 hours in darkness when you can sit for 2 hours in light? We must ask ourselves these things because he is truly raising up a remnant. And we don't want to be found unworthy. We don't want to be the one that comes to him and says, Lord, Lord, haven't I done this? And haven't I done that? Haven't I done this? And haven't I done that? And he says, depart from me, you worker of iniquity, you that sat down and worked iniquity, depart from me, for I never knew you. That word knew in the Hebrew is an intimate word. It's the same word that we find in Genesis, where it says Adam and Eve, that Adam knew his wife and they conceived. It is an intimacy. Do we have an intimacy with the Most High Yah by way of Yahushua HaMashiach? Do we have an intimacy with him to where we can hear his voice? The Ruach HaKodesh can convict us of unrighteousness and tell us the way to go. Do we have that intimacy? Or do we just have religion? It's not about religion. Because true religion is about feeding the orphans and taking care of the widows. It has nothing to do with this garbage that we see going on amongst the brethren. Whether you call yourself a Hebrew or you're a Christian, I consider myself both. I am a follower of the Most High Yah by way of Yahushua HaMashiach. And I'm not ashamed of it. Are you? Are you worthy to stand before the Lamb? I pray that you are. Well, I'm going to close this out. Don't be conformed after the pattern of this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. It's okay if everybody else is standing in the elevator in the wrong direction. You stand your ground right where you belong. Because there is a day and a time coming when all those people who had their head turned away, they won't see his face. But you will. Have your oil lamp filled. Don't be a foolish virgin, using up all your oil, using up all of your might for the enemy. Be like that virgin, the 5 virgins who had enough oil to be able to follow the Hamashiach, the way home. So thank you so much for tuning in once again to Ashanda at Large, where we do discuss faith, family, and the future of our community. I definitely want to know what you think in the comments section below. Have you come to a place where you realize that you can't continue to watch this demonic stuff or listen to this demonic stuff? Or are you on the fence about it and you needed to hear this? Let me know. As well, please like and share this, and let's continue to get this word out and build this channel up. I thank you, all of my subscribers, for participating as we put out content. And I hope that you have a blessed day. Love yourself without hating your enemies. And until next time, y'all bless and shalom.